Hello there and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be previewing Manchester United versus Liverpool on Monday Night Football, 8 o'clock at night. You know, again, we're back here again after the Crystal Palace one last week as well. Listen, in my opinion, on differing levels, both Manchester United and Liverpool haven't had the best start of the season. Maximum points we can have after the end of this game week, obviously coming up against Manchester United. Maximum we could get if we get all 3 points is we get 5 points. We'll see what happens with that. It's very early on. In my opinion, don't pay attention to what's going on in the Premier League table and stuff like that until you get to maybe like 10, 15 games in, when things start to maybe take shape. Or you can go for, let's have a look at where we are in Christmas. Is there anything to panic about there or anything like that anyway? Obviously, Manchester United are a team that are struggling at the moment. They are struggling to, they seem to be getting some deals and stuff done right now, but they've been struggling to get their main target in. All you've heard, pretty much all summer, is Manchester United being in for Frenkie de Jong. I'm going to be totally honest with you, I didn't watch de Jong when he was at Ajax, and I haven't really watched him a great deal while he's been at Barcelona, or even when he's played for the Netherlands and stuff like that as well. I don't really know what you're getting with de Jong, so I can't really comment on the player's quality and what he brings to a team in general, because I don't know. It's not a team that Liverpool have been linked with that I can recall in recent memory, so it's not really been a player that I've been that interested in really just sitting down and watching. But they've been pursuing it for a long time, haven't been able to do it. They've been pursuing different players here and there. They were in for a lad called Timber. They ended up getting his centre-back partner in Martinez, Lisandro Martinez. They've got that Malacia, young left-back, looks quite dynamic and could be, I would say he's probably a better option for them than Luke Shaw. But who knows what the manager will go with in terms of that. It keeps saying that they've signed a deal in principle for Casemiro from Real Madrid. I don't know if that means, can he play on Monday night? I don't know. I think if he does, that immediately makes their midfield a little bit of a different prospect, but it's different players that are in there, likes of you, whether it's going to be Fred, McTominay, Bruno Fernandes, whose form it seems to have been on a bit of a downward curve for quite a while. They've got a lot of good players, like that you would say on paper and individually are good players. You likes of Ronaldo, Rashford on his day can be a dangerous player. Whether Anthony Martial is back, he looked dangerous in pre-season, not just against us, but he did look like a bit more of a live wire. Jadon Sancho. They've obviously got Christian Eriksen as well. They've got some really decent players, but as a collective, it just doesn't seem to work yet. And I imagine it one day, it will under Ten Hag. I think once he gets time to either intensely train these players, it gets time to set his philosophies in and stuff like that, maybe it will work, maybe it won't. Obviously, me being a Liverpool fan, then being Manchester United, I hope it doesn't work. I really do. I hope it doesn't work. There's a lot of uproar at the moment as well, much louder than it has been in recent times, about the Glazers' ownership for Manchester United. Not a great deal that I know about it. Don't really know the in-depths of it because I'm not a fan of Manchester United. But what the rumour is Man United fans want to do a similar sort of protest to when the Super League kicked off. And if anyone remembers that time, the Liverpool versus Man U game had to be postponed because of fans on the pitch invading the pitch and stuff like that, making a big protest, and it had to be delayed, had to be postponed to another date. They're wanting to do that again, and Jurgen Klopp has come out and said, if that happens, technically, and I think by rules it could happen, if a game is postponed, then the team's fans the fans that are protesting, whatever team they support, they would be the team that ends up almost like forfeiting the game, and the other team, which would be Liverpool in this instance, should be awarded the 3 points. I imagine for sporting integrity and all that sort of stuff, the Premier League will do everything they can not to just give points to a team for not having played a game. I'm just going with that because I think that's exactly what would happen. But we'll see what happens on that whole front. I'm sure there'll be quite a lot of media coverage about it before the game and maybe even during the game, or as long as the game actually takes place. That's what I'm assuming, which I hope that it does, because I want to see every game be played, whether we win, lose or draw it. I'd rather actually competitively play each game and just see how things go. In terms of us, the big thing at the moment seems to be about Naby Keita. Naby Keita is apparently quite unhappy with his role or his game time. The thing that I would say about Naby Keita in this regard is I would love to see Naby Keita on the pitch like as much as we see Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Fabinho. I absolutely would. And maybe there's times where he's been on the bench and he could have been brought on, but he hasn't been. There's two things with Naby Keita that I disagree with maybe his thought processes or the rumoured comments and stuff like that as well about him being unhappy about his game time, is that at least 50-50, at least 50% of that is actually on the player's shoulders. You know, yes, they can't always, they can't, I'd say that again, players can't control when they get injured. You know, we used to see stuff like, and to a more extreme extent, you saw things like this with Daniel Sturridge, how much of a quality player he could be, but he would either be inconsistent or he would be out injured. These two same things apply in less of an extreme to Naby Keita, because sometimes when he is available and he starts games, he can have a great game. Even think back to the first time we played Manchester United last season and in the 5-0, and how good that Naby Keita was until he got fouled by Paul Pogba and he ended up having to go off injured. Other times he can start games and you wonder why he's even there. You know, it just doesn't, things aren't coming off, passes are maybe too short, not, you know, maybe getting dispossessed in dangerous areas and stuff like that as well. The other side of that, so that's inconsistency. That's inconsistency in performances. The other side of it is injuries. Bit like Joe Gomez, whenever Naby Keita gets injured, it's never like he's out for a game or two. He's always going to be out 4, 6, 8 weeks. So he's out for a long period of time. And then he's got to try and get back to match fitness. And then, like Klopp says, it's then match fitness and then it's match rhythm as well. And then when he doesn't perform on the pitch and maybe doesn't get allowed enough time to play into form, because there are the breadth of options that we have in midfield, despite a lot of them being injured, the actual options we have in midfield are quite vast, even despite the fact that obviously we are hopefully going to be buying a midfielder next year. I imagine that's something that's going to happen because there needs to be a bit of a refresh in terms of some of the players in our midfield. That is true. But like, when he's available, he's inconsistent. Can look like a world beater one week and can look like he shouldn't even be on the bench some weeks as well. And that is just fair. That is just fair. There's nothing abusive about that. That just is what it is, you know. And then the second part of it is obviously injuries. Tends to always be mid to long term injuries with him. So then he's unavailable. So when he says he's unhappy about his game time, I don't really know how to take that point of view because of what I've already explained. If he's available against Manchester United, he's in my starting 11, 100%, absolutely in my starting 11, because he's a quality player and he can give us something different to other players in our midfield. I genuinely hope that he gets to contribute and play for us. I really, really do. I think he's a quality player. It's a shame that he's feeling like he's maybe not appreciated and not getting the game time that he deserves. But I think because of, like I said before, the inconsistencies in performances and also the injuries, there's really not much that the manager can do in terms of appeasing how that player feels because of those two things, inconsistency and injuries. I hope he's available, and I hope that he's able to maybe get some sort of run of games and get a good run of form. And I would love to see Naby Keita be able to play 20, 25 games a season, like in a row. I'd love to see that. We all would. We've seen the consistency of like Virgil van Dijk until he was injured a couple of seasons ago. He had like loads and loads of appearances in a row. Like it just that sort of like, look at Salah as well. He's barely out injured. He's generally always available to be picked and selected. That type of consistency, I would love to see it from Naby Keita. And until we do, he's probably going to experience the lack of game time that he's not happy about. Now, in terms of the lineup for Liverpool, because I can't really predict what United are going to do. Like, they've had like such a bit of a mishmash of a season. I imagine they'll maybe like flood us with attackers. Maybe you get Ronaldo up front, Martial, Rashford, Sancho, maybe maybe you just go with one midfielder like a Scott McTominay or a Fred and have like Bruno there as well. So I imagine it could be quite attacking against us, which could play into our hands. It might also go against us as well, depending on our high line and all that sort of business. And we've seen how we've been caught out a couple of times by both Fulham and also by Crystal Palace as well. Starting 11. Alisson in goal, Trent, Robertson, Van Dijk. Jurgen Klopp has said that as long as everything goes well and he's well and fit and ready to go, it's going to be Joe Gomez partnering Virgil van Dijk. I'm a fan of it, I'm down for it, and I look forward to it as well. Into the midfield. Now, the midfield that I've got wrote down here has Fabinho, Naby Keita, and Harvey Elliott. I say Harvey Elliott because I think he deserves the game time. Nothing against Henderson or James Milner. I think we need to have your Fabinho in there, someone who's going to be like your absolute rock solid midfielder, defensive, winning the balls back high up and also in front of the defence. Have your Naby Keita, that skillful player, can work in the half spaces and can help drive that ball forward, and have someone on the right hand side of that midfield in Harvey Elliott who can help the links between Trent and Salah, help link it all together, but also be able to have that license to move forward, passing balls through to the other forwards that might be available as well, and also able to work in tighter spaces and situations a little bit better than I think than Henderson would. Not saying that if Henderson's picked, I would be unhappy about it. I wouldn't. I'd be very happy about it, but I just think that would be like my midfield. Some people might say it's a little bit lightweight, but I think you could get away with it with Man United's midfield that you'd be going up against as well. Even if they have Scott McTominay in there, then you've got someone like Fabinho to go against it. You know what I mean? And then if we go into the front line, I think it kind of speaks for itself due to the players that are available. And I think it'll be obviously Salah, Luis Diaz and Bobby Firmino having come back fit this week as well. Until he came back fit, I didn't know he was injured last week. So until he came back fit, I didn't really know who was going to go through the middle. If Firmino wasn't available and we had nobody else, I'd have been putting Salah through the middle and Harvey Elliott on the right wing with Henderson then in the midfield. And that's still very competitive, still very, very strong starting 11 from Liverpool. What should we be expecting from this game? Now, I'm going to try and be realistic here. I don't want to be the team that's giving United their first points this season. I'd love it to be United 3 losses from 3. I really, really would. And I do believe that is what will happen. I do believe that we'll go on and win this game. What I saw against Palace, it was impressive. Like, a lot more impressive than the very first one against Fulham. Much more impressive performance, more like a Liverpool performance. We got caught out. Maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, we've had a week to train with everybody that's available. Fingers crossed, that defence is absolutely airtight. Watertight, whatever you want to call it. I hope it is, and I hope that everybody's working in line as well, which is what caught us out against Crystal Palace. Because make no mistake, as out of form as Manchester United might be, they still have danger. They still create danger. They carry danger in the players themselves. The likes I've mentioned already in the video: Sancho, Rashford, obviously Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, even way out of form, he could still produce something of danger. Christian Eriksen's got great delivery from set pieces and set plays and stuff like that as well. They can still carry danger. You can't just turn up to Old Trafford, even though we did it last season, and just expect, oh, right, we're going to do 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. Can't expect that. On the flip side of that, I'm not expecting anywhere near a result that we had in pre-season, where Manchester United beat us 4-0 with a very, very different team at a different stage of pre-season as well, as we were at that time. I'm going to go 3-1 for Liverpool. I think that we can. I definitely believe that we can do it, and I think that we'll pick up our first win of the season in this game. I've just got a little bit of a thing about us keeping a clean sheet at the moment. I'm just not sure that we will. I'm hoping that we do, because a clean sheet along with, scoring a couple of goals would be absolutely excellent and a way to really kickstart our season. Basically kickstart it. We've played really, really well against Crystal Palace. The thing that was most disappointing was having about 24 shots, and I think maybe only 4 of them or something like that were on target, which just isn't good enough. Really, really isn't good enough. Obviously, we won't have the presence of Darwin Núñez. I believe he's going to be out for, it was a straight red in the last game, and I assume that's still a 3-match ban. So we won't see him for a few weeks. You know, and so maybe the options on the bench might be a little bit limited with all the players that we still have out. But I still believe, even without like bench options and stuff like that, I still think that we can get the job done against Manchester United. I expect it just to be really tough. I expect it to be a lot tougher than it was last season for us. I don't think we're going to walk through this Man United team as easy as we did last year. And people could turn around and say about Brentford and then beating them 4-0 just last week. But I maintain that games like that are just not as easy as that for us. You know, people know what they're expecting from us, but they don't necessarily know what they're expecting from Brighton, which is ridiculous, and also the same with Brentford, also ridiculous. You can't just assume that these teams lower down the league are playing bad football. It's not like it used to be, like years and years and years ago, where like bottom half teams they played a certain way. Now they're playing football. They're playing proper football. Like pretty much all teams. You see, like some Middlesbrough coming up, and you know the buying. Yeah, they bought loads of players, and some people don't like that. But they're actually looking at things like we don't just want to try and survive. We want to try and maybe thrive in this league, and they're preparing for it, and they play some decent football as well. Like it's not like almost every team in the league in some way plays good decent football. It just it's just way different to how things used to be. So I'm still expecting a very tough game against Manchester United. I really am. Maybe I'm being a bit pessimistic in that regard. I obviously hope there's always a chance you could draw or lose the game. Obviously, I hope that doesn't happen because the knives would be out for everybody from fan bases online and stuff like that. They'd be daggers out for Klopp and not acting in the transfer market in the ways and stuff like maybe certain fans do and stuff like that. And maybe there's some of us, maybe like myself, who are a bit too accepting of I trust Klopp and I trust what he's trying to do. Probably, and some people just go against it, and that's up to them. That's their opinions, and this is my opinion. That's how I stick to my opinions, and things can evolve and change over time, depending on the evidence that's in front of you. But I do believe that we'll go and get the win, and I think that it'll be a 3-1 victory for us, and I think it could be quite a good performance. But take nothing for granted. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. One of my favourite phrases for life, and it is a good life quote as well. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do feel free to hit that like button. If you have enjoyed the video, thank you very much for watching this video. Do take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll catch you later.